Howdy folks, so today we're talking about patch 4.6, the Dark vs. Light event for Star Wars The Old Republic, and what we've learned over the last 7 days, and kind of doing an overview of what has been good and bad about this last patch. First up in the good column, I would definitely say the Gemini Deception was at the top of the list. Also, not just for the story, but actually for the trap rooms. Basically, there's been a recipe to a lot of the chapters where it's Sky Troopers jump in, you shoot Sky Troopers, watch cutscene, rinse, lather, repeat until reach boss, kill boss, watch cutscene, you're done. With this, the traps really made it. I actually died twice. I can't even remember the last time I died in one of the chapters because I just wasn't expecting it. And all of a sudden now I had to, pay attention, think on my feet, look around, analyze. It was great. It actually brought a lot of flavor that I wasn't expecting. We knew this chapter would have intrigue. I wasn't expecting trap rooms, and it threw me back all the way to the Trooper storyline where you'd see that in some of the intermediate missions. Also a solid win in the good category was the Victorious Pioneers armor set. This armor is badass. I can't even tell you how much I enjoy this set. It looks great, works well, and will definitely cut down your leveling time by a lot. So we knew it was going to be legacy bound, but one of the things we didn't know about it was that it was actually going to have built-in static stats. So what you see here is that for the headpiece I have 788 armor, 48 mastery, and 51 endurance. And that is the exact same amount of stats I will have on this piece of armor, even if I'm a level 1 character that's wearing it. The only thing that will adjust is if you are a light, medium, or heavy armor character, the amount of armor per piece will change a little bit based on that. But for a heavy armor character like I was here at level 1, running around with 48 mastery and 51 endurance on all the different pieces, I was literally a mastery tank mowing over everything on Hutta. It was great. Really loved it. Now, obviously, this does taper off as you get into the higher levels when the stat budgets for all three pieces, armoring, mod, and enhancement, start to outweigh what you see there in the static armoring level stat. So eventually, if you do level up with this gear, you will start needing to put mods into it, but it is going to take almost 30, maybe almost 35 levels before you'll need to do it. In the last live stream, the devs talked about aiming to get nostalgia back into the game by shaping Dark vs. Light around the idea that you would go back and have the old feels from doing a lot of the old content. Guys, I'm going to tell you, I'm still talking about the good column, so I will say I did have a touch of nostalgia for doing some of these old events, and it has been kind of neat to see a little bit of the changes. I'm not 100% on board with the idea of saying that all of it has been fun. I did have a few bad groups. I definitely altered between going in as DPS or healers, when I'm here on my Merc. And there were some times where it was kind of cool, and other times where, it was okay. But I can definitely say there were a few times where I said, I haven't seen this in a long time. This is kind of interesting to look at. I am kind of glad that I'm doing it. So, mission accomplished there. There was at least a hint of the nostalgia that BioWare was aiming for during this process. In the good column, I'm also going to put the time investment. So initially, I thought this was going to take me months and months to grind through all the different levels, but I knew I was only going to do 2 characters and go up to the Eternal Tier. I can't stress this enough, guys. In my guides, I tell you to plan in advance, and it pays off big dividends for this event. I got everything done for all the way up to Eternal Tier in basically 7 days. All I need to do left is finish leveling this guy up to 65 and finish Chapter 16 on my Gunslinger. And as long as I finish Chapter 16 on my Gunslinger, he'll get all 30 packs, and that maximizes my efforts on getting a full set of armor. That took me about 7 days, guys, for everything but the Legendary Tier. The Legendary Tier does require a few characters, but also factor in you'll have the Victorious Pioneers armor set as well, and that'll help with the leveling process for those characters to go a lot quicker. But if you don't want to do Legendary, you can have this all pretty much wrapped up in about 7 days worth of time. And that ain't bad, guys, really, considering that most events do usually run about a week. So in the bad column, the first 2 things are kind of in tandem. The Gemini Deception really reveals that there's 2 missing pieces that we have towards this entire event and the story as a whole. First off, we're missing a lot of characters still. We're, a large number of chapters into this, and most of what we've seen have actually been Imperial characters that have been reintroduced to the plot, but not a lot of the Republic characters. People like Kira and Nadia, who you think would have kind of a deep impact because of their Force sensitivity, are nowhere really to be seen, And the only Republic characters we've actually seen are Eric, Jorgen, and T7. T7 doesn't get seen much after Chapter 9, and Jorgen has the opportunity to be killed. Every other character that we've seen reintroduced has been pretty much Imperial. The second problem that we're having with the chapters is that most players are playing pretty conservatively, and most players are choosing light side options because they don't want to lose companions, because this is really the first time in the game that you actually can. And I feel like that is generally skewing the event, since so much of this event for Dark versus Light is built around grinding and getting characters up to certain levels. They're skipping content where light side and dark side choices are regularly made in the natural parts of the story. Therefore, most choices are being made in the Knights of the Fallen Empire chapters, and most of the choices are probably skewing towards the light just by virtue of wanting to save as many companions as possible. So at one moment in a Flashpoint, I was actually called a bitchy beta baby because I mentioned that it would have been nice to have a lot of the achievements for this event retroactively applied to my account. I've been through Knights of the Fallen Empire's chapter stories about 20 times. I've leveled up multiple characters all the way up to 65, between two different servers. I've done the work. And, one of the newer players of the game thought I was being really entitled. And he might be right. But here's the thing. With this event, there's actually no new content. There's no new raid boss. It's really a rehash of material we've already done with some incentives added into it to go ahead and do it again. If you've already been bored with certain aspects of the game, this isn't making it better. This is actually just asking you to do it again, and just adds to the frustration you may already be feeling with things that have already grown stale for you. So in that way, I find like this was definitely one of the things that had to fall in the bad category. In the ugly column, guys, we've got a few things. First off, I would mention the heroic weekly cash reward reduction, which went down from 18,000 to 7,000 without ever being in the patch notes. We also had the raise in cartel pack prices, which definitely needed some serious explanation in the SWTOR livestream when they did that. And then also, the DVL packs did not have full sets of armor in them, as we were led to believe off of the opening splash page from the blog. It really had looked like in this last patch that all of a sudden BioWare was out to snooker us, and I didn't like the way that felt. It felt like when I got into the game and was hearing from all these players about all these different things that they had noticed over the first couple hours of playing, it was the first time in a long time I felt like BioWare was really trying to pull the wool over our eyes. It took a lot of explanations over the SWTOR livestream to kind of get over that, but I can't really erase how that actually felt. Last but not least, guys, is the hardest one for me to talk about, and that is the Dark versus Light packs. So the underlying root issue with this is that I don't feel that this system really rewards the player. It's very much like gambling. The house always wins. The player may but may not win. Compare this to Guild Wars 2 and ArenaNet. In Guild Wars 2, if I just log into the game, they have a whole list of items that you can have just for logging in. It's on a schedule. You can even bank on it. And I've actually taken 2 characters to max level just by the free stuff I get in ArenaNet. It makes me feel so valued that I definitely log in every day just to get the rewards. And I just love the fact that they just give it to you. Here, you're being asked to go through content you possibly have been through before if you're a vet, and for a reward that's completely randomized. You're not really sure if what you're going to get is equitable to the effort that you've put in. I don't think that's a very good model. I much would have rather they had used the green model for this event, where for every tier that you completed, even if it's stuff you've done before, at least if they gave us credit towards some sort of light versus dark currency, and you could go to a vendor and still buy those same items like the Revenant Born set for that currency, I think that would have been a great reward. I think that still would have been worth the grind to be able to be assured that what you were looking for out of this event you could get. But as it is, it's completely random. You may get nothing of what you want out of this event regardless of how hard you work. Alright guys, I'm not going to leave it off on an ugly note because it's me. So here's what good news I do have for you guys. So in the middle of all this process, my videos somehow got picked up by Eric Musco of the dev team, and he and I have actually started off a dialogue. And to continue that dialogue, I want to hear from you guys. If you're this far in the video, I want to encourage you to go ahead and send me your ideas of what you think would make this game better. And I'm going to take my top 5 ideas. I'm going to go ahead and send those over to Eric Musco from the dev team, and I'm also going to give those top 5 ideas a code for a Tauntaun Fawn mini pet. That's right. I actually got some codes for some free stuff from BioWare, and I'm going to do my very first promotional by giving my top 5 commenters here about ideas to how to make BioWare better. I'm going to give you guys a free pet for in-game. That's right. So here are my top 3 suggestions if we're thinking about it. One, I would love to see more direct sales so that armor sets like the Reverend Born set, if it went up on the cartel market, I would pay directly for it. Two, I'd like to see less random generated rewards. And another event like this one done through, the vendor system like we saw with the Gree. And three, I would love to see a return of the Republic characters, most specifically Nadia and Kira, and even some dark characters like Jaisa and Mako. I would love to see their return in the next upcoming chapter or so. So, we miss them. They're integral parts of who our characters are. I'd love to see them. Those are the 3 things I would love to see in this game. So you can talk about the story, you can talk about gameplay mechanics, you can talk about anything you want. Send me your comments. My top 5 choices get free Tauntaun Fawn mini pets. Top 5. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a great time with this video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.